My wife filed for divorce, and my 7-year-old daughter asked the judge, "Your Honor, can I show you something my dad doesn't know about?" The judge nodded. When the video started playing, the whole courtroom went completely silent. My name is Michael Adams. I am 38 years old. I work as a senior software engineer in a tech company in Atlanta, and most people would describe me as calm, reliable, and someone who rarely loses his temper. I have always believed in the sanctity of family, the idea that love and trust can overcome almost anything. I live in a suburban neighborhood with my wife, Jessica, and my 7-year-old daughter, Lily. On the outside, our life looked perfect, but appearances, I learned, can be dangerously deceiving. I met Jessica 10 years ago, and I remember the first time I saw her. She was laughing with her friends at a cafe, and her smile was so bright it felt like sunlight had found its way into my life. We married after 3 years of dating, and for the first few years, everything felt magical. We shared dreams, plans, and a love I thought would never fade. Then, a few years ago, cracks started to appear, subtle at first, small arguments that I brushed off, late nights that she never explained, phone calls she would hide from me. I never imagined betrayal, not from the woman I loved more than life itself. It all came crashing down last year when I noticed unusual transfers from our joint account, messages that didn't make sense, and a growing distance I could no longer ignore. I confronted her gently at first, asking for honesty, but she smiled, nodded, and said everything was fine, her voice like honey hiding a dagger. I tried to be patient, thinking maybe I was overreacting, but the unease never left me. I could feel it in my bones that something was wrong. Then came the day I will never forget, the day she filed for divorce. I was sitting at my desk when the email notification popped up. My heart sank, my stomach twisted, and for the first time, I realized that my entire world could change in a single moment. She claimed irreconcilable differences, but I knew there was more beneath the surface. I was devastated, but I knew I had to remain strong for Lily. She was only 7, too young to understand heartbreak or betrayal, but I knew she felt the tension in the air, the sadness in her mother's eyes, the sudden coldness that replaced warmth. The courtroom was packed on the day of the hearing. I walked in holding Lily's hand, trying to offer comfort, though I was drowning inside. Jessica sat across from us, calm, composed, and for a fleeting moment, I thought about all the years we had shared, the love we had, and I felt a pang of sorrow that seemed to pierce my very soul. The judge, a stern woman in her 50s, called the session to order, and as the papers were read, my mind was a storm of fear, anger, and confusion. Then Lily, my brave little girl, tugged at my sleeve and whispered, "Daddy, can I show the judge something?" I looked at her, unsure, but the honesty in her eyes gave me courage. The judge nodded, and Lily stepped forward, holding a tablet tightly in her hands. She pressed play, and what unfolded on the screen made the courtroom fall into complete silence. The video started with scenes from our home, innocuous at first, a normal day, but then it revealed hidden recordings, evidence of Jessica's betrayal, conversations with someone I didn't know, meetings I had never been invited to, and a plan that had been executed behind my back. The footage was clear, undeniable, and the expressions on Jessica's face were haunting in their casual cruelty. She had been planning to isolate me from Lily, manipulate the situation, and ensure that I would be powerless. I felt a rush of emotions I couldn't control, anger, sorrow, disbelief, but through it all, I looked down at Lily and saw the courage in her tiny frame, and I knew I had to remain composed. The judge watched in silence, her eyes narrowing, and I could feel the weight of justice in that moment. The courtroom was filled with whispers, gasps, and shocked faces, everyone realizing that the story they thought they knew was only the surface. I turned to Jessica, my voice steady but cold. "Do you have anything to say?" She faltered, her eyes darting around the room, no words coming, only a nervous twitch in her hand, and I realized she was trapped in her own lies. My daughter, barely 7, had revealed the truth that years of deception could not hide. I wanted to feel hatred, to scream, but instead, I felt a strange calmness. I knew that real power lay in restraint, in the ability to rise above petty revenge, though the temptation was unbearable. In the weeks that followed, the divorce proceedings became a whirlwind. I had legal counsel, of course, but more importantly, I had Lily. Every night, she would curl up next to me and whisper, "Daddy, you're my hero," and I felt a love so pure it erased the bitterness of betrayal. I watched as Jessica tried to manipulate the court, tried to twist the narrative, but the evidence, her own actions captured on Lily's video, spoke louder than any argument. I realized then that life has a way of revealing truth, sometimes through the smallest voices, sometimes through the innocence of a child. Despite the betrayal, I chose a path that many wouldn't understand. I didn't seek vengeance in a way that would destroy her. Instead, I focused on rebuilding. I worked longer hours, not just to provide for Lily, but to regain my sense of purpose, to remind myself that life continues even after heartbreak. I spent weekends with her, teaching her to ride a bike, helping her with homework, taking her to the park, and in those moments, I felt a profound gratitude for the life I still had. Then came the final court day. The judge looked at Jessica with a piercing gaze. "You have been found to have acted in bad faith, and custody will remain with the father," she announced. Jessica's face went pale, and I felt a complex mix of satisfaction and pity. Justice had been served, but not through cruelty, only through truth. I held Lily's hand, smiling, tears welling up, and I realized that the unbearable weight of betrayal had finally lifted. In the end, life took a poetic turn. Jessica tried to leave the city, start over, but her reputation in our social circles had crumbled. Opportunities she had once manipulated into her favor disappeared, and she found herself isolated, realizing too late that the seeds of deception yield bitter fruits. Meanwhile, I rebuilt my life with honesty, love, and transparency, my bond with Lily stronger than ever, a fortress of trust that no one could breach. Sometimes, I think about the betrayal, the pain, the anger, but then I look at Lily, her laughter echoing through our home, and I know that true revenge is not in destruction, but in rising above, in living well, in showing that love, even when tested, prevails. And every time I walk past the courtroom where it all began, I remember my daughter, her courage, her small but mighty act that turned the tide, and I am grateful, deeply grateful, for the lesson that life sometimes delivers in the most unexpected ways. Life continues, and I continue with it, stronger, wiser, and more attuned to what truly matters. Betrayal may scar, love may falter, but courage, integrity, and the unwavering bond between a father and his child, those are invincible, unshakable, and enduring. This script is structured to naturally flow over 15 to 20 minutes when narrated slowly, with pauses for emphasis, emotion, and dramatic courtroom beats. It has twists, emotional highs and lows, betrayal, love, child's courage, and poetic revenge without overdoing violence or cruelty. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And tell me, what would you have done if you were in my place?